late getting started, so we went without the automatic 5-minute countdown. So I'm going to share it around here real quick. So here's Miranda with the 5-minute countdown.
Oh, 5 minutes. 5 minutes?
5-minute countdown. Woo!
It was one of those lovely, wow, technology was not working in our behavior. In our interests.
Yes.
At all.
Not working for us.
No, and then the extra mics that we had, Brett apparently had taken over to the school.
Yes.
At the office. And so it was raining out and such.
It is raining. Much needed rain. It was very nice today until it started raining.
Well, yeah. And we went for a walk just right before it started to rain. And so we were going to go for a little bit longer walk, go past the street that we would turn back down to our house on. And all of a sudden, just as we were passing that street, the temperature dropped by several degrees, and the wind was cold all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So
we were wishing that Aspen was there. I could have given her an earth science lesson, because as you walk, as all of you earth scientists know, that it only rains when the dew point drops below the level it needs to create the condensation to fall, and it reached that. Like while we were walking, we turned the corner, we came walking down. About halfway down, oh, this is nice, and then it just went shoo, and the wind picked up, and you knew, here comes the rain, sure enough.
Mm-hmm. Yep, okay, and it was, wow, lots of rain too, sheets of rain. But no thunder yet. We're potentially up for some thunderstorms this evening.
Yeah, there's a little thunder.
Oh, there's a little thunder. Speaking of that, there's a thunder.
So, today I am tolerating salt because I had no mics, and my perfectionism.
Yes, Brett's perfectionism. Yes, is not. Yeah, he says
doing well.
He says the sound is awful.
Yes,
but since I can't hear it right now,
we can't hear it. Not till later.
So you know.
So those of you who are like, "Wow, their broadcast sure doesn't sound very." I know.
Yes, Brett knows. And but I tell him, other people won't even hear that.
Wow.
It's only his little expert ears and his perfectionism that made us wait 27 minutes before he gave up on the fact that our mic was not going to work.
Tried several things.
Yes.
It's not usual. I can't find a workaround or a solution, but yeah. So I don't know. I will have to figure this out later. I don't know what it is.
But it does go with what we're talking about today, because we're talking about what we think is perfect.
It's divine intervention to give us a practical application to our topic.
We actually didn't have one.
No.
We're just going to nosedive right
we
on.
do now.
We do now, yes. Yeah, so what we think is not perfect, it doesn't look that way to God at all.
No. We work in His will and imperfection, and whatever it is your point is. Yes.
Yes. So are we ready to start?
Yes, and here we go with today's topic. 1, 2, 3, and we're off.
Okay, so basically we are to be praise givers and not praise seekers.
Yeah.
So when Jesus was on this earth, he wore the shoes of peace, right?
Yeah.
And when he invited people and he said, "Come follow me," he invited them into a life of praising him.
Yeah. Giving praise, not seeking praise. For instance, that's a lovely sweater you have on, Miranda. You see what I did there?
It's true. I'm not sure that's really the point of what we're doing. It was a life not of seeking praise for self, but of praising God, praising Jesus and his works, and not our own works.
No, but it is nice sweater.
Thank you.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, it's Aspen's actually.
See, one of the great things, because when Miranda's pregnant and stuff, and it was going to be boy, girl. One of the great things I knew in having a girl, because I think you and Randy did this for a while. Randy lived with is that for a long while, probably now because you're pretty close, you can likely swap clothes, share clothes, and save money. Buy one sweater for 2 people.
Right, save money, because on the other hand, it's like, well, I'll buy it because both of us can wear it.
That's right. Yeah. When it turns out it's just my clothes Aspen actually wears.
Yeah, she's wearing a bunch of Bretzel clothes. Apparently,
Right now, as a matter of
it's the
fact.
style.
Yes.
And the sad thing is, though, some things that she can wear, I can't. It's amazing what 3 inches in height will do for you.
Or 20 years in age, because all the stuff she has of mine looks way better on her than it does on me.
Yeah. So Aspen was wearing some of Brett's old sweatshirts, and one of them the other day looked so cute on Aspen. I was like, wow, I'm going to go get that and wear that myself. It was not the same. It was really sad. But
there was no praise giving there.
No, so.
Anyway, back to our topic.
Yes.
Yes, giving praise instead of seeking praise.
Right, so basically when we think about it, looking at all the experiences that the disciples had with Jesus, it was at times that they were seeking praise for themselves rather than just praising Jesus, that there was trouble. Right?
Yep.
Yes. And you had some examples for that. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the disciples, and their ever ongoing inability to grasp the concepts Jesus was trying to teach them, there were several times where they turned their eyes and their hearts and minds to themselves, and that's what got them in trouble. One that probably you may pop to mind right away is Peter walking on water, and as soon as he took his eyes off Jesus, obviously, and thought, oh, look at me, then he started to sink. There was also when Jesus sent the disciples out, and this is in Mark, and they were healing and casting out demons and all this, and there was one situation where they were trying to cast out a demon from a boy, and they were unable to, and I guess they all took turns and they all tried, but it was and then Jesus had to come in, and he was able to do it. And when they asked why they couldn't, he said, this kind can only be cast out with prayer and fasting. And sorry, I'm fighting a cold or something.
Notice I'm sitting right
next to me, yeah. But if you read Ellen White or some Bible commentaries, they'll say, that they've been going for a while, and that's when they started thinking, like, oh, look, we have the power to do this, and got a little bit of the attention to themselves instead of, to the power of God. And so it was when they started thinking about themselves, or got to be a little bit like, well, look at us, even God likes us so much, he gives us the power to do this. That's when they would get in trouble. Every time, that's when Jesus had to step in and say, let me try this again.
Right, and of course, like we've mentioned before, the overall belief system that Jesus was going to take over the earthly throne was certainly caused contention, and that was a whole seeking for praise for self.
And that's when, if you read the news, even the last 20 years or so, that's, you read about the fall from grace of, pastors of mega churches and teachers and things. And many times behind that is when, they've gotten their eyes off the goal and eyes off the power and onto themselves, and onto their success, and that's when Satan slips in, and that's when falls, happen, when we go from that, oh, I'm all that, or even God has made me all that, and instead of staying in that place of humility.
Yeah. But just like the disciples, we occasionally, so Jesus wore the shoes of peace. He invites us to come follow him and wear the shoes of peace for ourselves. And but like the disciples, we occasionally will find that the shoes of peace are a little bit tight and uncomfortable. So we take them off, and off we run on down that rocky road of life.
So this is where it broke down for me, but I see where you're headed with it.
Okay.
Because tight shoes to me were always the dress shoes when I was a kid. I hated dress shoes.
Oh.
I still hate dress shoes.
Okay. That's fine. You don't wear them.
I just thought I'd share that.
Okay.
I don't like dress shoes. My wife and daughter like dress shoes.
Yeah, I would hate to admit to a slight bit of vanity on occasion, but...
Yeah, but her vanity's cheap. Like, Miranda finds the best deal. Like, we went back when we did yard sales and stuff.
That's true. It's true. I won't hardly buy anything new unless it's at least 75% off. So anyways, that's moving on to the important thing. We didn't. You guys didn't sign in to watch us
talk about our furniture that we got half off. Buy now.
Right.
Yes. No, the shoes of peace, though, are the part of the, full armor of God, the gospel of peace, the shoes of peace.
Yes, the shoes of peace. And this is one of those things where it is, the peace is God's strength, which gives us victory, which gives us joy. And so there's victory over sin and such. So, so the shoes of peace, sometimes where they're feeling a little tight, they don't go along with how we would like to be living our life at the moment. But we see things we want to do, prideful things of praise to us. And so
sometimes we want to use the shoes of peace to kick someone in the butt
well,
because we think they deserve it.
Well, that too.
But that is not the gospel of peace.
No. Not at all. So anyways, then we take them off, and then we are running down the path of praise seeking. Now, running around a rocky road just invites all kinds of disaster for our feet, right? So the problem is, praise seeking is motivated by pride. And pride encourages us to go out and buy our own shoes and make us look good, right? But all that seeking to look good, all that trying to be perfect, is nothing but a burden. And see, I guess, that's going with our personal illustration. Brett likes things to be perfect. Well, I like things to be perfect too. And people who watch us appreciate good sound and the lighting that Brett does and such. Probably don't give it too much thought, but you can appreciate that it looks good.
Yes. I actually have a story that might illustrate that.
Oh, okay.
When I was doing lighting for theater, I did a show that was really good, and I knew it was really good. And anybody who's Broadway people, if you know Into the Woods, the guy I was working with was the lighting designer for Into the Woods. And I lit that thing. It was a dance piece, and no one thought I could do it. Nobody believed, because I'm Adventist, and they knew I was Adventist. They knew I was a Christian. They knew I'd been a youth pastor. And they're like, there's no way this guy could light a modern dance show. And I lit that thing to the hilt. It was an excellent lighting club. This would be the seeking grace part. Anyway, I knew, this is in California, so I knew the San Francisco Chronicle, all these guys were there from the papers, and I was just dying to see the reviews. And they praised everything.
Right, but not the lights.
No,
right?
Not the lights. Didn't even mention my lights.
No, they wouldn't mention your lights. Not out of snubbing that, but just because it's not noticeable.
That was so upset because they didn't mention the lighting, and then the guy from Into the Woods, he said, that means you did your job and you did it well, because if they notice the lights, you messed up. They're supposed to enjoy the show and da-da-da and move seamlessly without going, wow, these are really good lights. Not getting mentioned is what you really want. But you're not the whole seeking. I was looking for, tell me how good I did.
Yeah, it's how we live life, and we don't really stop to think about it.
Yeah.
But it's very motivated by pride. But pride hides well, and just offers us a bit of good advice on occasion. That makes a lot of sense, and then off we go down that praise-seeking trail.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't turn out so well.
It's never
because it's never enough, and all that trying to be perfect is nothing but a burden.
Yeah. Constantly
seeking, like here, Brett spent probably close to at least half an hour or longer, trying to get that microphone to work.
Right.
And it just didn't.
And the truth is, you can probably hear us fine. It's not but everything's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yet, anyway.
Yes. So, you have some.
Where?
A line. You have a line, Brett.
Oh, yeah, it can never be. Praise seeking as a whole, it can never be filled. And back to theater, I worked with a lot of actors, and these were guys who were either professional actors or they were semi-pros. They were, in the business. And it did strike me how really often you had to stroke their ego. They were happy as long as you were telling them how good they were doing. And, oh, what a great scene that was. Oh, that was amazing. Oh, you're so good. You're so active. You're so beautiful. You're so whatever. And they needed that. I mean, it shocked me how, wow, these guys are in for a life if this is what drives them. And even they look at the reviews, and even the great reviews from one show, and it lasts for a little bit, but they're on to the next, and they don't get good at it.
And that's the burden, constantly seeking to fill ourselves up with praise.
Yeah.
And it like that's very obvious, but there's other ways too, just small ways in our lives that when we realize that we're seeking the praise of others.
Yeah. Like how?
And not going there.
Oh, not going there.
I'm going to have those feet that are all, you don't want to show them off.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, one is like expectations. We have a definition in recovery. It's called expectations are premeditated disappointments. And it's like you do things, and if you're looking for the praise for it or the applause for it, and you don't get it, and then you're disappointed and resentful. I think every day people are confronted with the possibility of, doing things, and even subconsciously doing them so they get something back. It's just kind of human nature. But we have another saying in recovery that kind of goes along with this. It says you shouldn't be giving until you can for fun and for free, which means the giving of praise, you enjoy it and you don't expect anything in return. Mm-hmm. That's true, joyful giving.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so Brett, one a personal example. I think I can share something small. Okay, take for example, I fix pretty much all of Brett's meals for him and such, and I have to stop myself from saying, "Well, how was that?" Because his meals are different than mine, So, and he eats things that I can't or don't eat, and so I can't always taste test and such.
She says I can't eat.
Yeah.
Green things.
But so sometimes when I think to myself that I'm going to go ask Brett how he likes it, I'm like, wait 1 second. I feel like I'm kind of looking for that. Wow, that was so great. It was super tasty. I love that meal. I don't need that, right?
Well, sometimes I feel like I say it too much because they are like really good. She comes up with some things I would have never tried. What was the one you did a couple days ago? And I was like, well, I would have never thought of that. It involved cottage cheese, I think.
Oh, the cottage cheese. You're right. I put cottage cheese into something now.
Was it meatloaf?
It was cottage cheese in the meatloaf, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I normally wouldn't. It was really good.
Yeah.
So she pushes me also outside of my comfort zone to eat things that I didn't, wow, that's really good.
Right.
Except for the green mushy ones.
But it was sort of like a praise-seeking thing. In the end, you're like, oh, you realize that, So
and just so you all know, they are amazing meals because I guess everybody, I'm diabetic, and so I have to hit 50 carbs per meal, and Miranda's really good at nailing those 50 carbs in creative ways and finding things that I can eat, like popsicles.
Popsicles? Well, they're not necessarily popsicles.
They're like ice cream bars.
Ice cream bars, yeah. 11 carbs a piece. Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah. Okay, so the burden can only be gotten rid of by letting Jesus remove those shoes, right, of pride. Mm-hmm. But since the feet and the wounds that were created have not been cared for but only covered up, it's not pretty. It's raw and painful, and we would rather not have it revealed. An example of myself just now. So we keep covering it up, right? Keep trying to be perfect. Make our life perfect. But our own ideas of perfect generally just lead to more pain, right? When things don't turn out as perfectly as we had planned. Any number of unhappy emotions arrive at the door. Anger, discouragement, self-retribution, when things don't go as perfectly as we thought that they should. Right here, Brett has a line.
Back to theater. I'm less today than I used to be. So when I first started out with theater and the drama team way back in the 90s, I was very much a perfectionist. And I would work the kids over and over and over, and they were good. And we put on a program, and it was really good because I worked the kids hard. I'm also told back then they were slightly afraid of me at times if they would screw up or mess up, which that's not good. And we put on full-length plays and stuff, and things would go wrong because stuff always goes on playing in theater. And instead of like, wow, they pulled off an amazing something, I would be kicking myself for whatever mistakes I think we made, or something that went wrong, and that's all I could think about was what went wrong, instead of all the right things and the good things, and whereas the audience probably noticed, but it probably wasn't near as big a deal to them as it was to me, and so as I've aged, I've mellowed, and part of it is, what's more important, the product or the journey? And for theater, the journey is way more important than the product, especially when you're working with teenagers. Getting there is really the point. What happens on stage in the final show, the final production, you hope it's good and you hope everything goes well, but it was really putting it together is really the important part, and that's the journey. And the journey is never perfect. And it made me think of what you were talking about in here, the imperfection of our life, the way we live our lives imperfectly. And instead of focusing on the product, perfection, it's really the journey we're living.
Mm-hmm. Right, the journey of a relationship with Jesus. Living by his power and not our own.
Which we'll never do perfectly, but that's not the point.
Right, that's not the point. Because, see, God doesn't even need our perfection, right? Because our perfection does not even exist. We keep searching and doing in order to be something that we can't even be. No. So what God wants is our broken and humble hearts.
Yeah, and that's a Bible verse.
Mm-hmm. There's actually, you put that in there. There's actually several verses, and by chance I just happened to write those down in my journal this last week.
Oh, cool.
Because I thought, well, okay, so I got reminded of that as well during the week, and I thought, well, okay, so where is that verse where it says, and actually the one I was thinking of was Psalm 51:17. The sacrifices of God are a broken or humble heart, depending on which, or humble spirit, depending on which version you're reading. A broken humble, and a contrite heart, oh God, you will not despise.
Oh, that's what I was trying to quote, yeah.
That's the one that I was thinking of when I looked it up. I actually found several, and then I made a list of the things that God wanted rather than sacrifice, basically. To obey and listen, that's what he would like us to do. He would like our steadfast love and knowledge of God. And he would like us to be just, kind, and humble. And then mercy. Hosea 6:6, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. And so, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of...
Yeah. So we kind of had the same thought there. Because that's what God's like. Man, I should have gotten, for all you VeggieTales fans out there, I should have gotten the song from Jonah about I can't remember the words now, but he has got a whole song about, be good, be kind, be kind. Anyway, it's a great thought. If you don't know the song, it's a really good song and you should look it up.
Okay, so it is the truth that sets us free. The truth that we are not the author of our own perfection. Author of perfection, sorry. God is. And that can be a painful realization. That's why we keep our shoes of pride on, because to take them off, it hurts to see that. And it's painful to face that kind of reality. Not just that we aren't perfect, and that our ideas to be perfect aren't perfect, but that we wasted all that time trying to be something that wasn't even truth. So you know what? It sounded good, it looked good, but it wasn't good. And so we tend to look at bad situations and such and think that it's not perfect. And yet, we can live out God's perfection in an imperfect situation. And that's just realizing our weakness, that we aren't perfect, and that it is God's strength that can create perfection, his perfection, in an imperfect situation. So in imperfect situations, Jesus says, and is there inviting us to come follow him. He wore the shoes of peace. He wants us to wear the shoes of peace. But there is nothing peaceful about seeking our own praise. True peace is only found in living a life of praise to God, living by the strength of his peace. And when that happens, we will praise Him because we know that we didn't do it ourselves. It is only by the power of God that that sort of thing happens at all, ever. So we're to be praise givers and not praise seekers because God's ways are perfect and not ours.
Is that it?
That is it.
Oh, and there you have it.
There you have it.
Aspen's dancing over there like she remembered the song. She did? How's it go?
Oh, a message from the Lord. Do not fight, do not cheat, don't put tassels on your feet. No. Wait.
This place is.
Sounds like it was right. Don't put tassels on your feet.
It's wear four.
We rhyme.
It's actually wear 4 tassels on your feet.
Oh, wear 4 tassels on your feet.
Anyway, a message from the Lord. Yeah.
But wouldn't that be still right though? Don't put tassels on your feet.
Feet, I guess. Not
Yeah,
tassels.
sure. I mean, it still rhymes.
Wow. And so that's what we're going to end on. Don't put tassels on your feet. Great. Anyway, yeah, so giving for fun and for free, being praise givers and not praise seekers, is a much more peaceful way to live and brings much more peace and harmony to everyday life situations.
Right, because we're praising God and following His ways of doing things.
Yep. All right. So that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a good time where you're at and decent weather. And if you need rain, we have some down here. We'll send you.
Yes.
And actually, we all got rain and snow coming across from the west. I saw
Yay.
storms coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next week we'll be here. I think we got next week and then the week after. 2 weeks to Christmas. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Is it something like that?
Yeah.
Aspen would know. Aspen, how long till Christmas?
I think it's like 24. No, it wouldn't be 25 days because
No.
it's
It's the 10th day of it. It's the 10th day, so it's 15 days till
15
Christmas.
days. Sorry.
that was my next guess.
Yeah, oh, yeah. 25 days. No, wait, that can't be right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, and you have a great